Hello, everybody. Andy Jacob here with the .com Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. And I have a great show today. You know, you come on the show and you expect to see the best of the best. That's what we bring on the show. And of course, one thing that really makes the world go round, and you don't think about it very often, but it really does, is manufacturing. I mean, without manufacturing going on in every single place in the world basically stops. I mean, we're entrepreneurs, but we depend on manufacturing for so many different things, whether it's a product or even the thing that moves our service across the internet. Manufacturing is everywhere. So we've been able to invite on the show today a CEO, and her manufacturing company is really the world's leading manufacturer in her particular space. And her name is Kerry Siggins. And she is the CEO of StoneAge Tools. And she has a very unique and interesting application for the manufacturing of a certain type of equipment that we're going to get into. But when you hear about it and you hear the way in which they've sort of dominated the space and dominated the vertical, I think you're going to be very interested in Kerry's entrepreneurial journey and what she's been able to do at StoneAge Tools. So Kerry, welcome to the .com Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. I mean, what you're doing with these customized engineering solutions is really remarkable. Let's get into it, though. I kind of gave a little bit of a hint. Let's pull the lens back to 30,000 feet. Tell us what StoneAge Tools is all about. And then we have so many questions for you with regard to the application and how other entrepreneurs watching the show are going to learn from the way in which you dominate this marketplace.
Sure. So I like to say we make high-tech squirt guns on steroids. I think it's a little bit easier to picture what we do, but that's basically what high-pressure water jetting is. It's using ultra-high pressure water to clean really dirty applications. So, you know, a lot of us have pressure washers at our houses, or you use a car wash nozzle, and those pressures are anywhere between 700 to 2000 PSI, enough to remove dirt, but not enough to take your paint off of your car. Well, our tools start at 2500 PSI and go all the way up to 40,000 PSI, which means ultra high pressure water, cleaning very, very hard to remove materials, and a variety of things. And we sell our products to industrial cleaning contractors who have contracts with every major industrial facility in the world. So refineries, chemical plants, plastic plants, food processing, pharmaceuticals, anywhere you'd use ultra high pressure water to clean. And what I love about this industry, but nobody really understands until you do a deep dive like this, is that we really keep the supply chain running. Every single product that you use that makes your life better, your car, your water bottle, your phone, every component in that comes from a factory that has to be cleaned, and that process equipment making that material has to be cleaned. And so that's what we do. So we're a really important part of the supply chain, although we are very niche and we are rarely seen as part of the supply chain.
Kerry, it's unbelievable. We had somebody on the show. I was talking to him a few weeks after he came on the show, and he manufactured something overseas. And when he received the product did not meet the inspection, and it came back that the plant had some cleanliness problems. Mm-hmm. And some of those cleanliness problems became a problem for the product that was delivered to him in the United States after waiting 6 weeks. So we never think about it, but plants being clean is so important. And that's why you've really become the world's leading manufacturer of these water jet tools, because the contractors who clean these plants all throughout the world, especially since they have very challenging applications at times, use your tools. Let's talk about that, because that's very fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, this is incredibly hard work. Most industrial facilities are around industry. So in the United States, our biggest market is the Gulf Coast of Texas and Louisiana, but there's a lot of, we do a lot of business in the Midwest with steel plants. In Europe, we're in the Netherlands and the UK, France, Germany, everywhere where those kinds of plants. In the Middle East, right, we do a lot of business in Saudi and the UAE. It's really hot. It's an interesting application because there's so many challenges to it. So you have to take a team of people in with a high pressure pump and the equipment and have all the safety measures. And you're usually going up several flights of stairs within a refinery, let's say, and then you have to clean things that are really, really dirty. And you have to understand what you're cleaning, because it's not like, oh, hey, we're just going to take this tool and this system and this pump and we're going to need to clean. There's physics behind it. You have to actually understand what you're cleaning so that you can get the right system to clean that particular material. So there's a huge gap in, the type of operator who is out there doing the cleaning, and really what you have to understand from a physics perspective to clean it well. And so it's a huge challenge. And it's an incredibly important one, because everything has to be cleaned. And of course, to plants, downtime matters. Downtime is money. If a refinery isn't refining product, if a chemical plant isn't producing chemicals, if a food processing plant isn't making food, they're not making money. And so they want their systems cleaned as quickly as possible. So there's so much pressure, there's so much challenge in these applications. And so our customers really, really depend on us to make sure that they get the right product at the right time so that they can get in and get out and clean efficiently and safely for their customers.
Yeah, I find it so fascinating because here we are, so many of us take things for granted, whether it's the oil that goes in our car or the gasoline that goes in our car or the electricity that powers our car or our food or our pharmaceuticals. All of those things are produced in plants that they have to have a level of cleanliness, not only internally, but the governments around the world demand that they have these types of plants that are clean. Now, when you have a contractor reach out to you, Kerry, do you give them an expert to help them figure out what exactly they need to do from a sort of a chemical standpoint to clean up the best they can for the plant that they're going to attack?
Yeah. So the great thing about our products is that they simply use water, which is the most soluble, best substance on the planet. What would we do without water? And so our solutions are uniquely environmentally friendly. Now, sometimes chemical cleaning is required where water just can't get it done, or you can't use water because you can't have water react with a certain type of material. But typically about 85% of all cleaning applications use high pressure water. So it is the preferred, it is the dominant cleaning method that's out there. So what we work with our clients on is, understanding what their application is so that they make sure that they select the tool. And it's interesting, when we make robots, we're making cleaning robots, but what matters the most is the quality of the jet that comes out of the nozzle at the end of the tool. Because if you don't have a high quality jet, none of the rest of it matters. And so you can have a pump that costs you $500,000. You can have one of our robots that costs, $150,000. And then you can have a nozzle that costs maybe a couple $100. And that's what matters the most. And so we advise them through that entire system. Like, what exactly do you need to clean this particular application? And then any of the other things that they might have going on around it. So yes, wastewater is produced in cleaning applications. We don't make things that clean up after it, but we certainly help our customers think through those types of things. So we're really trusted advisors for them through that whole process of cleaning.
Yeah, it's super interesting. Now I think about the water. You mentioned the water, and I think about traveling around the world and knowing that water is a little bit different everywhere you seem to go. Is there a challenge where you put your application with the water supply, or how does that get figured out from your, experts over at the company?
So water is pretty standard within any plant. And they've been doing this. I mean, water blasting has been around for many, many decades. So getting the water isn't as big of an issue. And the plant really takes care of that, of what the water source is. So we don't have to do much planning on that side. That's going to be the turnaround planners or the project planners within the plant, within the contracting company to work that out. And the good thing about our products is that it doesn't really matter what if the water's clean. In fact, I was in South Africa a couple of years ago, and South Africa has coal refineries. They have huge, thick, mile thick beds of coal, and coal is very difficult to refine, very dirty to refine. But it's cheaper and easier to refine coal than it is to bring a lot of oil down all the way down to South Africa. The government says that they cannot let that water out into the main sewer system. And so they have to be on a recycled loop. The water looks like Guinness. It is thick, it's black, it has white foam on top of it, and because it has to just be reused and reused and reused. Our tools can handle that. Now, they do wear out faster because there's debris and abrasives in the water that wear out the tool faster. But that's the unique thing about what we do, is that as long as you have a water source, we can pretty much make anything work.
I love it. And of course, I see a lot of ships going back and forth, especially up in San Francisco. So I was thinking about it the other day, of course, because I would imagine these ships need to keep clean somehow. Is this an application that you have? And let's talk about that, because a lot of people think that ships just go through the water, there's no maintenance, but I would imagine they need to be blasted as well, right?
Oh, yeah. So ship hull cleaning is a huge part of our industry, and we make tools. They're called surface preparation tools. And so they have to, ships have to come in, and all the barnacles have to be cleaned off, allows to be prepared to be painted again, because the paint provides rust protection, which we all want to make sure that, we don't have ships that are falling apart in the middle of the ocean. And so it's a huge part of what we do and of our overall industry. And in fact, not just ships coming in and out from a logistics supply chain standpoint, but also from military sources. We work very closely with the U.S. Navy, for example, not only on surface prep on the outside of their ships, their aircraft carriers, their submarines, but also on what goes on inside. They all have little mini power plants inside of a submarine. It has to be able to run on its own. And so we make equipment that cleans their systems inside as well. So there's all of these challenges, all these applications that people don't think about, because you just assume a ship goes in and out, a submarine goes in and out. We don't really think about where the rubber on your car for your tires comes from. So it is pretty fascinating how many different things our products are part of the process.
Wow. You serve so many different industries. I want to talk about food production in just a minute, but can you pinpoint one industry that causes sort of the toughest challenge for your products? In other words, the stuff that really, really has to be cleaned down to the microscopic details. So it's more about the material that has to be so it's really about the material being removed. Something called bitumen. It's part of it's a part of the process of refining crude. It is really, really tough to get out. It's very sticky and gooey, and water does not want to cut through it. But that's a tough thing that needs to be cleaned. So, really, really hard plastic can be tough to get out of various applications. So, you have to think of the material. Now, when it comes down to how things have to be cleaned, that really comes down to either government requirements or the process that the plant needs to be able to produce their product. So we worked with a major chemical company that everybody would know. I can't say who it is under NDA, but they had these big vats that make a material that we use in our daily lives. And they have to clean it 100%. There can be no contamination as they make each new batch. And so that has to be cleaned down to the metal of the tanks that is being mixed in, to be able to make sure that when it's being mixed, that it's exactly right to be able to create this particular substance, this particular material. So it really depends. It might be a government process saying it has to be cleaned to a certain level of cleanliness, or it could be as part of the process for the plant. Wow. So interesting.
Yeah. It's so cool.
It's incredible. Here we are again. We're out, we're driving around, we're eating food, Some people take medication, you're working out, hopefully you're on your computer. Everything that we do has something to do with a plant and the way in which something's manufactured. So let's talk about food, because I've seen some of the ovens that some of these mega food companies cook in. I mean, they're massive. I mean, people can't even believe how big an oven can be for food that gets manufactured. Are you involved with cleaning those ovens? And tell us about the applications for food as well.
So it's the same thing. It's surface prep. And yes, we make all kinds of oven cleaners, and it's automated systems that we would be able to do, as part of the overall process. But yes, I mean, we're working right now with a company that makes Stacy's pita chips for them, for example. And so, they send the chips through the fryers and then the dryers, basically. And so all of that has to be cleaned. And so we will go in and build a system that uses high pressure water to be able to clean those ovens, clean the conveyor belts that all those little chips are on as they're getting cooked through the process. And then that way they don't have to shut down. They don't have to do it manually, or they don't have to worry about contamination because their oven system or their conveyor belt systems aren't clean.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. And of course, in many parts of the world, you can't go there without seeing cranes. There's a lot of building going on, and they're not building those buildings with paper. They're building them with steel for the most part. So tell us how your suite of products helps the steel industry.
Yeah, so our products are used in cleaning steel plants, which is a very, very, very tough application. Steel plants have various levels. Depends on what types of steel that they're making in terms of the quality of cleanliness. But yes, as you are going through the steel process, you have to be able to clean your production equipment, which would be primarily like pipes, tanks, surface prep, heat exchangers are a big one. So yeah, all of the steel that's used as part of the process that we're part of the cleaning process there. Same thing with concrete. Concrete is used everywhere. Concrete manufacturing plants have to be cleaned. And so, our tools are used in cleaning those plants. So, we're not like immediately evolved in much of the construction industry, unless you're doing like hydro demolition for repairing, bridges, roads, things like that. But all those materials being used in building material, has to come from a facility that our products are being used to clean.
I love it, Kerry. Now let's talk about you. Here we are. You're the CEO of StoneAge. I mean, custom engineered water blasting solutions to tackle the most challenging industrial cleaning jobs. But I want to talk about your journey, because I'm listening to you, and I'm sure the viewers are watching, and we're probably blown away together that, anyone can know so much about water blasting. Tell us a little bit. How did you get into this? How did you become the CEO? This is remarkable.
So people ask me how I get into this industry, and I say, like everybody, by accident. This is not an industry that I think, unless you have, a parent who was in it, that people aspire to be in. Although, as you can tell, I'm so passionate about what we do. We do really cool things, and our customers are really, really important, and they don't deserve to be ignored as part of the overall process. But yeah, it was a total accident of how I got involved with StoneAge. So it was back in 2007, I started, and I moved to Durango, Colorado, which is where our headquarters is. Honestly, because my life was a complete and utter mess. I had gotten myself into trouble when I was in my 20s, developed substance abuse issues, and I came home. I grew up in Colorado. My mom had moved to Durango in the early 2000s. And in 2006, after I accidentally overdosed, I came home. I came home to rebuild my life and get my life together. And the two founders of StoneAge saw something in me as they were interviewing for a general manager to take over the company. I was completely underqualified. The only reason I applied for the job is because, well, there weren't a lot of jobs to apply for. Durango is not known for having a plethora of jobs. But I thought, if I don't get if I don't get this job, maybe it's a foot in the door for another position. I have engineering degrees from Colorado School of Mines. I'd worked in manufacturing operations for big, huge manufacturing companies. So I had adjacent experience, even though I had never run a company. But they saw something in me as a non-traditional candidate, and they said, we want something different, and let's give her a chance. Let's give her a shot. And if it doesn't work out, we always know that we'll be able to find a more experienced, more traditional type person to take over the company. So let's see what she can do. And so I started in January of 2007, and I had no idea what I was doing. But here we are 16 and a half, almost 17 years later, and the company has skyrocketed. We're doing amazing things, not only in our industry, but we're an employee-owned company. So there's just so much goodness that has come from them taking a risk and on me, and me betting on myself and saying, I'm going to just go for it and see what happens.
A great story. I love that story, Kerry. Let's talk about the people. Let's talk about the employees. I know that they're just a shining light. I mean, they bring so much passion and joy to the job every single day. Let's talk about how important the team has been to StoneAge Tools and this trajectory that you've been able to accomplish.
Oh, the team is everything. I mean, I have the best team, and they make leading so worthwhile. It makes me emotional. We've gone through some crazy things. We got hacked. We've been through COVID. We've been through all kinds of pivots as a company as we've been scaling and growing and disrupting our industry. And we couldn't do it without our employee owners. And I think part of it is the magic of Durango. For anybody who hasn't been here, it truly is an amazing place that attracts amazing people. And while we don't have a huge talent pool, we have a tremendous talent pool. And our people's passion for making sure that our customers go home safely to their families every night, for helping each other create better lives for their families and in the community, and getting to be part of something that's really challenging, very important, and very disruptive. I think that our team loves it. And so I love it. The best compliment I get are when our customers come to visit us here at our headquarters and they say, I've never seen people who are so proud of the work they do, and they like each other. Can I get a job here? Like, how can I come to work here? And that's such a compliment, because it really does. We just like ooze passion and joy for what we do, even though it's hard work and we're growing this company and we're doing disruptive things and we're pushing ourselves, but we do it because we all believe in the vision, the mission, and we all get to share in the success as employee owners.
I love it. It's great. And of course, you've only cut out a certain amount of time. I don't want to let you go until I ask about entrepreneurship, because you have a great story yourself. Of course, you had some challenges in your life. You came home. The founders took a risk, a fairly big risk, it sounds like, but then you stepped up to the plate commensurate with the risk they took. And here you are, many years later, and StoneAge Tools is just knocking the cover off the ball. But for the younger entrepreneurs watching the show, maybe you can share some insight about what it takes to get through a tough time, what it takes to keep on pushing, what it takes to knock that wall down when you think you can't knock it wall, and keep on going as an entrepreneur. Maybe give some advice to the people watching the show that are maybe facing a little challenge right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think it comes down to belief in yourself. And that's a hard one when you don't believe in yourself. And I get it. I hated myself when I moved here. But I looked at the state of my life and I said, I don't want to live like this. I'm not going to live like this. If I keep going down this path, I'm not going to live. And so why not go for it? Even if I have to get outside my comfort zone, I know I'm going to get outside my comfort zone. Even if I fail, nothing can be worse than living this life that I hate right now. And so I went for it. I bet on myself. And yes, I had imposter syndrome. And yes, I sometimes had no self-confidence, but I kept saying, I can do this. I'm going to bet on myself. The alternate is not a path I want to go down. And I always tell young people and anybody alike, don't wait for a life-threatening and near-death experience make you decide that you want to go for it. Go for it. we are the creators of our lives. And I know it can be scary. And I know we all have baggage and trauma and stories we tell about ourselves about why we can't do it. And I'm here to tell you that those stories are false. They are only true if you let them be true. So go for it. Go after your dreams. If you fail, it's not a failure. It's only a way to learn how not to do something. And you're going to grow from it if you let yourself. So that's my best piece of advice.
Wow. Great piece of advice, Kerry Siggins. The great team, the employee-owned company, StoneAge Tools, crushing it as the world's leading manufacturer of water jet tools. I mean, you brought us inside. I got a little geeky with some of the questions, but it's very fascinating. And I want to bring you back on the show again in the near future to talk more about your journey, more about the mindset necessary to take yourself from point A to B. I think that would be a great show for our entrepreneur spotlight as well. But Kerry, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. You're an inspiration, and congratulations on what you're doing at StoneAge Tools. This has been a great interview.
Thank you so much for having me.